definition we have seen yesterday. So now we have next topic, files. So very simple topic. What is a file usually? Normally a file. So when you speak about a file, it is nothing but it has some collection of some data actually. It's like it has some collection of data, or else it has some tasks to be which needs to be executed. Everything, and when you come to usually when you go to a Linux or a Unix environment or Ubuntu, everything is a file inside it, right? So everything is a file inside it. So giving this, normally what we speak about a physical file, it has some data inside it. Okay, a physical file has some data inside it, and now normally a file has some data, and I want or else it has some set of operations which I want to perform. Okay, anything which I can do from terminal can be put in a file, right? Whatever I can do from terminal can be put in a file always. So it has coming to files. There's no much definition at all. So we have some operations which we want to perform on files, right? So first one is printing to the screen. Okay, same thing which we were writing earlier, even much difference. So print something else, probably print. How are you giving it? You're writing it within double quotes, right? The same thing it is also speaking about. It says that the simplest way to procedure output is using a print statement where you can pass 0 or more expressions separated by commas. Okay. This function converts expressions you pass into a string and writes the result or standard output as follows. Simple. It is telling you, it is explaining you nothing but print. Okay. Yeah. We have used one so far. So how are we taking input? From command line and coming to Python, we are using raw_ input, right? So these functions takes input from command line or input from keyboard. Yes, it's from keyboard, because when we type it only we are able to take the input, right? So there are two ways. One is raw_ input and another one is input method. We know raw_ input, right? So raw_ input reads input from a keyboard. Okay, so how are we going to write this? str or whatever its number or whatever variable 1 is equals to raw_ input of enter your input, or whatever it is, enter your number, enter your variable, whatever it is, and whatever value we enter will be assigned to str, right? The same way there is another function, input function. There is no difference, both are same. Even syntax is same, but we just remove raw. Okay, there are two ways in doing it. One is using raw_ input and one is using input. Okay, but thing is there is a difference. Syntactically there is no difference, but the way in which it works, there is a difference. Here you directly give value whatever you want to give. Okay, but coming to input, here you will not give the value, you will not only enter the value, but you will actually try to give a expression. Okay, so which it evaluates and then gives the result. So in case of input, it evaluates an expression and gives the result. So I have said, let's write this program somewhere and see it. input from interpreter. Better. We'll do this way. Never used it this way, right? It's asking for an input. It will automatically, I mean, the time I write it only, it is not that I don't need another compiler for this. It compiles it there itself. Is it? X into 5 for X in range of 2, 10 and 2. Okay. Print received input, it is printed received input is 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. So X into 5. Okay. So 2 into 2 into 5. 5 is 10. Okay. 10 into 5, it's not 10 into 5, range of 2, 10 to, okay, it's resolved. Solving some expression. So 10, 20, 30, 40, X into 5. So X in range of 2, 10. Okay. So, okay. So it is trying to find for X in range of 2, 10 and 2, it is trying to, evaluate to something. Probably it takes 10 into 5, 50, something less than it is printing. I am not sure how it's working. So let's write one more example for us. What shall we write now? X into 2. Received input is 2. It's just evaluating some expression. Whatever you want to evaluate some expression, give an expression and just get it evaluated. It does it from here. Yes, coming to the important part. In files, there are few operations which are important, which we need actually for going ahead to see further examples. So nothing. So I told you very clearly, file is nothing but it's just a place where we have some collection of data or something. First thing. So every file, the way and whatever we are doing from command line, we can put it always in a file, or you can always put it in a program, right? Coming to Python or some scripting language. So here there is one file, okay? So one file which you have written, okay? So some file X, okay? So in this file X, you want to open this file and make some changes to that file in runtime, okay? Not that, it's not that, you want to make a change to it. If I want to do it somewhere from here, command line, I don't need anything. I can just, open the file from here vi something and just go to the specific line number or something and just do something. It's not something like that, or but I want to do it, do some operations on this file in a runtime. So what am I how am I going to first open the file, close the file, how am I going to write in that file? For all that we have file operations. Okay, the most important part in files is the file operations. Okay, so Python provides basic functions and methods necessary to manipulate files by default. You can do your most of the file manipulations using a file object. So for a class, how do we access a class usually? We access a class with an object. No, this usually I'm just saying, if you don't know, that's fine. So usually we access a class with an object. Similarly, for every file, we create an object to that class, to that file, okay? And whenever this object is used, it is referring nowhere but to the file. Simple concept. There is a file, okay? There is a file XYZ, okay? And you're creating one reference object to it, okay? A is a reference object to this. So if you, whenever you want to access this file XYZ, you need not go and do something on this XYZ or call something from this XYZ, but you can directly say A, okay? So when you say A, what happens? It is doing nothing but in term calling, reference calling XYZ only, okay? It is referencing XYZ, okay? When you say A, it is referencing XYZ, okay? Python provides basic functions and it's okay. The open function. Before you can read or write a file, you have to open it using Python built-in open function, okay? The function creates a file object which would be used to call other support methods associated with it, okay? So I spoke about a file object. So how are you going to create a file object? It will be created using a open function, okay? Fine. So what's the syntax? File object is equals to open of the file name, comma, the access mode. Just remember, there are two objects apart from open. One is file name, whatever file you on top of which you want to do some operations, and a access mode in which this file has to be opened. Access mode means, so do you want to open this file in read mode? Do you want to open this file in write mode? Do you want to open this in append mode? What do you want to open this file in? So there are set of file access modes. You will see them. So modes. Read mode. R for read mode. RB for open a file for reading only in binary format. Okay. So in a binary format, the file pointer is placed in the beginning of the file. Okay, it's a default one. R plus open file for both reading and writing. RB plus open a file for both reading and writing in a binary format. Okay. W open a file for writing only. WB open a file for writing only in a binary format. W plus open a file for both writing and reading. Okay. So there is difference. You said Spandana, R plus opens it for reading and writing and W plus opens it for writing and reading. What's the difference? Thing is, R plus opens a file, okay, and it allows us to write into it. W plus, it sees, if at all, what it sees is, if at all there is an existing file, it will override that file and create a fresh file, and then we can write and read in it, okay. But it will not permit us to edit the existing file, but it will override the existing file. Okay, that's the difference between R plus and W plus. WB plus opens a file for both reading and writing in binary mode. A opens a file for appending. The file is at the file pointer is at end of the line if the file exits. Okay, so what is append? Append is nothing but actually add, right? So that's the reason A command is used for append. So now whenever I'm trying to append something into a file, whatever data I want to append would by default be appended at the end of the file. Okay, That is what it is trying to say. It will be appended at the end of the file. Okay. So AB opens a file in binary mode. A plus opens a file for both appending and reading as well. Okay. So here, if it checks for a file, if at all it doesn't find a file, it creates a new file. AB plus the same opens it for both reading and writing and appending and reading in binary format. These are all file operations. So first, what you have to remember is R, W, A. You have R plus, W plus, A plus. Similarly, for every of the operation read, write, and append, we have a binary format also. So RB, WB, AB, and plus operation for that as well. RB plus, AB plus, W plus. Okay, simple. So file object attributes. So it speaks that, as we have seen how to open. Okay, F open, we opened a file, right? So, but how are we going to actually close this file? File dot closed. Okay, so these are some actually a few operations which we want to do on that file and see in what state it is. Okay, file dot closed returns true if the file is closed, false otherwise. Okay, file dot mode returns access mode with file with which file was opened. Okay, file dot name returns name of the file. Okay, now we'll see some example. So it says FO is the file object is equals to open of some file.txt in write mode. Okay, so name, I'm saying FO dot name. Okay, so print name of the file. How am I going to print? FO dot name. So FO dot closed returns true if it is closed, or else it returns false. FO dot mode returns the mode in which the file is opened. Okay, F1 dot first. Just some random data. Okay. It says name of the file is fo.txt because I specified it here actually when I'm opening it. So the same thing which we have created, and it is not closed. Yes, it is opened. I did fo is equals to open, but I didn't close it, right? So it is not closed. And what is the mode with which I opened it? I opened it in a write mode. Okay, that is what this displayed. So now, how are we going to close it? FO, whatever file object dot close, it closes the file. Okay. Let's print the status once again now and see. Says earlier it was not closed, so it returned false, and now after we closed it, we have We have again printed its status, right? Whether it's closed or not. So now it has returned true because we have already closed that file. Okay. So this is how we close a file and open a file. Simple. Okay. Now let's see a few more operations. Gone a long way. It's showing f4.close. Example. Okay. Reading and writing files. So actually before this I should teach let's go like this. So it is all about the access modes, right? So how are we going to actually see, how are we going to use read, how are we going to use write, how are we going to use append, everything. So now first we'll see read and write. Okay, very simple. Write with a parenthesis method writes anything writes anything to an open file. Okay, so the write method does not add a new character or line to the end of the string, but it continues it there itself. Okay, file fo dot write of something, whatever you want to write, you have to specify it within that quotes within that parenthesis. Okay, round parenthesis. So now here it says F4, I'm saying I am opening it in write mode and I want to write F4 dot write. Python is a great language. Actually, is a great language, and yeah, it's great. Okay, so I have added /n, or else if I don't add a new line, it will not add a new line at the end of the string. It will not add a new line. Okay, it will not add it. It will stay there on. It will not go to the next line once it is done. Okay, so I'm just closing it. Okay, the above method will create a file. Okay, and whatever it is, it will write the data into that file. Okay, so let's try to see it. So we'll see everything together. Wait. And read method. Okay, so read method reads a string from a open file. So write to write data into file, read to read data from the file. Simple. Okay, so here there it is fo dot write of something. Here fo dot write of count. So from which line or something it has to read probably. Here past parameters as number of bytes to be read, number of bytes, the open file. The method starts reading from the beginning of the file, and if count is missing, then it retries to read as much as possible until end of the file. If at all the count is missing, it tries to read till the end of the file. Okay, so I said strfo.read of 10. Okay, let's see what it reads. vi f2.5. It will not display any output on the screen because we didn't ask it to display anything on the screen, right? vifoo.txt. Earlier we have written some junk data inside saying hi, hello and something. But now that is not the data which is present because I've opened it in write mode. Actually I asked it to write. Okay, so it will either create a new file if it does not exist, or it will overwrite the existing file. Okay, that's the reason all the data is overridden. Okay, sorry. file object dot read. Okay, so how many bytes of data I want to read? Okay, what is it? Print B1 probably. File not open for reading. Okay. Yep. See, Signet file is not open for reading. Chalo, we'll go ahead. Insert read mode. It says whatever, Python is a great language or something was there. Cat foo.txt. Python is a great language. So in it, it is spreading first 14 bytes. Count it: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 till R. It is printed it till R. Okay. So how many bytes of data you want to read? Okay. So the same file, I'll not specify anything over here. I'll leave it blank. Let's see what it does. It reads the entire data in the file. Okay. If you want to read specific number of bytes, you can specify it within that round braces, or else you can just leave it blank to read the entire data in that file. Okay. So how are you going to rename a file? Okay. os dot rename of current file space new file. So why I said OS, it's not, why didn't I say FO? Okay. So whatever operation so far we did is on the file, is in something which has to be done on the file, right? That's why we are referencing it with the file object. Okay. But now whatever I want to do, okay, it is, from the, it's at a, it's not at a file level, but a bit more at a directory level or an operating system level. Okay. So that's it, why I'm calling it now as OS. Okay. There are some OS functions for renaming, deleting, creating and all stuff. Okay. So for that, OS dot rename of whatever current file name you have to the new file name to which you want to rename it. Okay. Import OS. Okay, I have to import OS, and then I have to say OS dot rename foo.txt to something.txt, whatever. The remove method, os dot remove, okay, the file name which I want to remove. Okay, I'll write examples all at a time. Just there are one more. Similarly, import os and os dot remove of whatever file I want to remove. That's it. Just make directories. So there is one more. So mkdir method. Okay. So how are we going to create a new directory from this point? So os dot mkdir, the same commands which we are actually trying to use it from command line. Okay. So os dot mkdir of whatever the directory name which you want to create. Okay. So if you want to change directory, you can say from there to which directory you want to change. Okay. So to get current working directory, os dot get cwd. We use pwd. Here it is cwd. Okay, to get the current working directory. I'll go back and write everything in a single file and just try to value. We don't have a test, right? Finishing it from o.txt to test.txt. Just give me a moment. Some file I created test.txt. Now I'll remove this file even. Test.some txt file. What else? To make a directory, right? os.mkdir trial as a directory which I want to create. Let's see it so far. Nothing will be displayed on screen again. Python f3.py cat f3.py. I said first rename f4.txt to test2.txt. So f4.txt should not exist and test2.txt should exist. Test2.txt is there, cat test2.txt, and try to see if at all it's the file for which, yes, the same thing, right, which was there in f4.txt. And remove test.txt. So we have created one file test.txt earlier. Test.txt I have created over here. So which got removed over here. Okay, fine. And what is the third one? mkdir trial. So there is an empty directory trial created. So it would be an empty directory. Nothing is there inside. Fine. So now if I have to remove this directory, okay, so how am I going to remove this directory? Okay, the same way in which I have actually have created a new directory, the same way rmdir would help me to remove this directory. If you want to change your directory from one folder, from one location to another, so what is the change directory command which we use usually? Cd space the directory where we want to move, right? Similarly, here os.cdir the destination folder where you want to which you want to change your directory. That means where you want to move actually. Okay. So os.getCwd gets the current working directory. It's even telling us to remove directory. Go it off. Okay. Is operation which we have already done. So os dot c change directory of something. Okay, so I've changed my directory to trial. Okay, it is in trial. So what is the current working directory? Trial is the current working directory. Okay, so if I have to now remove this directory, so how am I going to remove this directory? Copy it up. It's fine. Remove directory. I'll just paste this path. So now after running this program, we should not have a directory trial. Okay, it should not be there. Okay, it is not there, right? So it has removed the directory trial, right? So we have seen what all, just summarize once. How are we, what are the file access modes we have? Read, write and append. Okay, so for all three of them we have a binary mode and we have a plus mode, right? Read plus, write plus, append plus, right? After that, how are we actually going to open a file? Okay, with the help of a file object. Whenever we are creating a new file, we create a file object for it, which is a reference to that file, and we will access that file using that file operations. So we can open that file for read mode to just read it, and write, which will open it in a which will open a fresh file, or else it will override an existing file and we can write data into that file. Okay, so after that, how are we actually going to what did we do? Close the file. How did we close the file? F4.close, we close the file. Okay, So then we did three file operations like file name, get the file name and get the file status, whether it's closed or open and all, right? So coming after that, we have come to OS, so which operates at the operating system level. So what is it trying to do? Okay, so it is used to create a directory, delete a directory, and it is used to, what do you say, change directory and rename a directory and get current working directory. Whatever operations we do at operating system level, we do it using OS. Only thing is we have to import OS module over here. Okay, so which is a default written module. So of Python, just import OS. Okay, simple. We don't use it much, but in few cases why we use it, we use file operations just to have an idea. Okay, exceptions. What is an exception? I know it's seen on the screen, but still I'm just executing one program, okay, and it is throwing an error actually. So just now we have executed a program, and what did we try to do? We tried to actually open a file in a write mode and do some read operation on it, or open a file in write mode and do some read operation in it, or open a file in read mode and do some write operation, or open it in append mode and do some write operation, whatever. So when you're trying to do all this stuff, what happens is, let's say just speak from files level, okay, it comes back and whenever we run that program, it comes back and says to us, hey Spandana, you have opened this file in write mode or read mode, and how can you ask us to write actually data into that file? So it actually comes and throws an exception saying, so file is opened in read mode, which cannot be used, so that data cannot be written into it. Okay, so what is an exception? It is interrupting our program flow. So after giving that exception, is it going to proceed to next line and execute whatever print statement I've given in next line? No, it will not. It will throw an error and it will stop there, right? So an exception is nothing but some error which is actually trying to interrupt my actual program workflow. Okay, simple. Let's see the definition. An exception is an event which occurs during the execution of a program. This disrupts the normal flow of a program's instructions. In general, when a Python script encounters a situation that it can't cope with, it raises an exception. An exception is a Python object that represents an error. Okay. When a Python script raises an exception, it must either handle the exception immediately, otherwise it would terminate and come out. The same thing which is happening now is it is terminating and coming out. But we are not trying to handle this exception, but we are terminating and coming out, right? So handling this exception. So what is handling this exception? If there is some suspicious code which you think that, hey, this line might actually return an error, okay, you just know it. You can just always put it in a try block, okay, and include an except statement, okay. So whenever this try block or something in this try block raises an error, it goes to except and runs the set of lines which actually handles the exception which is coming up, okay. Let's see. So here is how you write a try block, try catch exception, okay. Try except. It's not try except. Try whatever operations, open fo dot write of something, okay. You open it in read mode and you wrote fo dot write. You know that it will throw an exception. So now, what is the exception which you're going to get? File is open in a read mode. So now that exception you have to give here and say what is this which I can do. Just continue and go. It will go to next line. Okay, it will just go to next line. Okay, just give continue. It will go to next line. It will say so and so is opened and so mode. It cannot be done. Please change or something. Some statement would be displayed. Whatever you want it to write. Okay. So if this try if it will not encounters any except situation, then this is the error situation. If no error is coming, so then what is it supposed to do? If at all it is open in read mode, and if at all it is asking to read only, then there's no problem, right? So that it goes ahead and does whatever operation we write in else block. Okay. So a single try block can have multiple except blocks. Okay. Yeah, the same thing. It's the single try statement can have multiple except statements. Okay. This is useful when the try block contains statements that may throw different types of errors or exceptions. You can provide a generic except clause which handles any exception. Whatever except something means it handles any of the exception. After the except clause, you can include else clause. The code in else block executes if the code in try block does not raise an exception. The else block is good place for code that does not need the try blocks protection. Okay. Open test file in write mode. fh.write, this is my test file. Good. For exception handling, except IO error, input output error. Print error, can't find file or read data. Okay. Else print written content in the file successfully. If no issue is thrown here, it will print fh, it will print that content written successfully in this file. So it says written content in the file successfully. Okay. Good. Because no issue has occurred, right? So now go and do a simple thing. Open it in read mode. Whenever there is input output, the right format errors, it throws a IO error. You can see the error from here. If it's from OS, it throws OS error. Okay. Just to show you, for writing exceptions and handling exceptions, we should be aware of the system, what issue throws which error first thing. Okay. Python f4.py, now it will throw an exception. See, error, can't find file or read data. Okay. So when is it coming? Except IO error. When I say IO error, it says can't find file or read data. So it is told you this, and just exit it from there. Okay. So because we have opened it in read mode and and wanted to do some write operation in it, it will raise an IO error. So that IO error, instead of throwing an error onto the screen, I'm just trying to print something onto the screen. Okay. Rather than it throwing an error and exiting it like this, it will throw an error. It will print a statement. Okay. Try except else, right? So just try except clause, the same thing. Yeah. This is nothing but try except, he's just explaining it here. Okay. So now we have try finally clause. That's the important one, except we have seen. So you can write exceptions one after the, with an except you can specify multiple exceptions and say, what is the total list of stuff written here. If you directly use except, it accepts any error. It's an IO error, OS error, whatever error, it will accept everything which comes here. But you don't want to do like that, but you want to specify few set of errors. I want to handle only IO error. I want to handle only handle IO error, handle OS error, handle some other read error. Okay, all that errors only I will handle. I will not handle all the errors. There are some list of 10 errors. I don't want to handle all the 10 of them, but I want to handle only 3 or 4 of them. So all three or four of them, whatever I want to handle, is pointing to one thing only. So the except block should be the same for all 3 or 4 of them. In that scenario, we'll be giving it here in this way. This is a try and finally block. Okay. So it is but in this scenario I'm not going to actually handle an exception, but I see that there is some set of code. Probably I want to open a file and just it's not only about file operations. Okay, so I just want to do some addition or I want to do some division. Okay, so this division actually, if I do divided by 0, it raises, obviously throws an error, right? So when I did by 0, okay, there is something which some error which should come. Okay, so in finally block I'll write a set of code which should be at any cost executed. Okay, that must execute whether try block raises an exception or it doesn't raise an exception, whatever it is, it passes or it fails or whatever is the situation with the try block. I want some set of lines to be executed at any cost. I need them to be executed. So whatever is the situation, let's say in file operations, I'm opening a file, and whatever is the situation, I want to close the file and just exit. So I'll put the file closing operation in finally block, which will be done even though there is some exception arising. Okay. FH is the file object, right? I want to print this and just close this file. Just printed it, right? I've opened a file in write mode and written some data. Actually, it will not throw any exception. First thing, I'll open it in read mode and write some data, which should throw an error actually and just quit. But will it do that or will it actually print the data? See, IO error. Did I print the same thing? File not open for writing. I'm not open for a file or reader. Because the following error. Okay. If you don't have the proper permissions on this file in writing mode, if it's all about permissions. If you don't have proper permissions, then it will return error can't find or file or read data. If at all this file doesn't exist or something, in that scenario, it will actually go ahead and execute the finally block. Okay. Working properly. It's wasted. Okay. Can't find out the data. So advanced topic, anyways, let's see. So argument of an expression. An except can have arguments even. Okay. So which is a value that gives additional information about the problem. Okay. So see here, if you're writing a code to handle a single exception, you can have a variable follow the name of the exception. If you're trapping multiple exceptions, you can have a variable follow the tuple of exceptions. The variable will receive the value of exceptions mostly containing the cause of exception. Okay. So the variable can receive a single value or multiple values in form of a tuple. Okay. So this tuple usually contains the error string, the error number, and an error location. Okay. That is what is displayed onto the screen for us wherever some error is raised. Okay. So define temperature. It's saying temperature convert try. return int var something it is saying, except value error argument to value error or argument to print. The argument does not contain number something. Okay. Call the above function here. This would produce the following error result saying why the argument does not contain numbers and invalid literal for int which with base 10 of xyz. So why did it return int of var? So convert var. So where is the actual number actually? It has to actually convert temperature of something, right? It is convert temperature of some number. It has to change. It is var is nowhere defined or var is nowhere taken as an input, but it is simply var. Okay, so that's the reason why it would throw an except why it would throw an error, okay, which is handled in this except scenario. Okay, so it's just handling a except scenario with just some arguments. Okay, so this is one way. Another way is raising an exception. So you are handling the exception whichever is thrown by error, thrown by system. You don't want to quit your program there but execute something and then leave from there. So in that scenario you're just trying to handle the exception and place some other, place whenever, I know there is an IO error going to come. I'll say, hey, this is a place where an IO error would come. Please go back and rectify the program. Okay, meanwhile you can continue the rest of the program or some print statements and just continue from there. Rather than program throwing an error, it is not that now the program is throwing an error, but it is just printing out something or doing some operation which we asked it to do, rather than it throwing an error and terminating the program from there. Okay, so now you want to actually raise an exception. So this is all handling the exception which is raised by system, but there is some but you actually want to raise an exception. How are you going to raise an exception? Raise of exception, arguments and some traceback. Here, exception is a type of exception. For example, the name error or IO error or OS error, that is the exception, and argument is a value for the exception. Okay, the argument is optional. Okay, and if not supplied, the exception argument is just none. The final argument traceback is also known as optional. Okay, what it has to do. Okay. Here it says define function name something level. If level less than 1, raise invalid level. The code below this would not be executed if we raise the exception. Okay. So when we raise an exception, it will not be executed. So whenever we raise an exception, whatever exception is raised should be catched somewhere. Okay. Whenever it is catched somewhere, then it will execute it. See. Try business logic here, except whatever you want to write in the except clause, whatever error you want to handle, and then write the else block here. So ins capital. There is no error. I just wanted to print clear. There is no error, so it has, I mean, it didn't raise an exception. Because the scenario is, when do I want to raise an exception? Whenever it is less than 1. Zero less than 1, it raised an exception. So what is the exception it has raised? It says that file f6.py line 3 in function name invalid level. Okay, so that is the raise invalid level exception. So that is the exception which is raised. Okay. So it is not that only we are handling the exceptions which are raised by system, but if you know your program is fetching some data from another file and trying to take it as an input. Okay, so if at all that data is less than something or that data is equals to something, if it's trying to always fetch a word and that is equals to some word, probably some variable, it's equals to is having exactly, when your variable is getting a value of 10, you want to raise an exception. So it keeps on checking whether that is equals to 10, equals to 10, equals to 10. If it is equals to 10, then you'll do whatever you want, or else you'll do whatever you can just continue with the else part. Okay, raising an exception and handling an exception and file operations. That is what we have covered. So we have classes left. Shall any doubts so far? I know it would be a bit confusing. Just you have got your notes, right? So just open it and try it out today. If you have any issues, please ask me tomorrow, because I know it's a bit confusing. So we'll again just have a look at it if you have any doubts in next session. So probably I'll complete classes in tomorrow's session and start off with the next topic even. So open a file and someone saying something?
No, I was just saying thank you. I'll just go through
Okay,
the
thank you.
file and then get back to you if I have any doubts.
Yeah, if you have any doubts, please get back to me. Just try it out, open a simple file, okay? Write some data into it, try it, open it in append mode, open it in write mode, open it in RB plus mode and AB plus mode and everything, and see what is the difference you're getting. Just try to open the file in all the modes. Just try to understand what each mode is doing, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you have any doubts, you can stay, or else I guess you can just continue. Hari, Soumitra and Funny, do you have any doubts? Hello?
No, Spandana. I'm
Okay,
closing the
Funny.
session.
Yep. Hari and Soumitra, are you there?
Yes, Spandana.
So you're clear, or you want me to explain something?
No, fine.
Okay, just try it out, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.